Welcome to Custom Home Builders Tutorials for CHS on the web. First of all, make sure that you enlarge this screen to full screen because it's the best way to view everything that I'll be going over. This is the first in a series of videos about how to post your payroll for employees, actual employees, into CHS. In the past, we were running a payroll system that would calculate your taxes and produce W-2s, etc. when the largest percent of our builders were in Texas, which made that fairly easy for us to do since there's no state withholding or local withholdings here. However, since we have been expanding into many different states, that task of calculating payroll and keeping up with all the various payroll laws has become very overwhelming, and in our quest to focus on job costing and to keep our fees as low as possible and not hire a bunch of payroll experts, we did some checking with a lot of our builders that use payroll services already and just post to CHS, and we have determined that it is in your best interest to use a payroll service that keeps up with all of the laws in all of the states, produces your checks, calculates your taxes, pays your payroll taxes, files all of your forms, and keeps you in compliance. Now, in our interest in being able to job cost and provide a full accounting system in CHS, we have provided some features for you to be able to post that payroll after your payroll service prepares the checks, or if you have someone on staff who can calculate payroll for you and figure it out and would like to print checks out of CHS, I will be showing you how to do that and how to post your payroll here. Basically, we have designed a screen, and I'm going to start at the end, and then the other tutorials following this will be a build-up for how to set up for this. But what we are providing is a place to prepare a journal entry and have it also take a billing amount on a wage that you'd like to apply to job cost, write that up and get that over to your job cost, while at the same time posting and being able to track your payroll by various payroll categories, etc. So that's done by way of what is called an adjusting journal entry to your accounting books, but we have made a screen to help that be easier for you to do and to give you some categories to be able to produce some good payroll reports from CHS. So I'm going to start, and you'll see in the help list there that you can print a copy of this journal entry that I'm about to do. But I'm going to start at the end result, and then we'll come back, like I said, and show you how to set up various things that are going to be used while we do this. So on the Home tab, I clicked the button for Employees Set Up Payroll Journal Entries, and this payroll menu opened. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new payroll check. I'm going to prepare the journal entry for that. And in our demo case, we don't have very many people set up, but we do have Francis Jones set up as a construction superintendent. We will go over this later if you've attached some activities related to Francis Jones, reminding you to deduct or do various things when you're doing payroll. Those will show up over here. We don't have any set up for Francis Jones right now. I'm going to use a date of January 15th, 15, because this feature is only available in 2015, and I'm getting a warning that I typed a date in the future because it's not quite January 15th yet. And I'm going to enter a new batch ID. If I go up here, you'll see that there's a watermark saying the tip is to use the check number that was paid to the employee, and we're going to use check number 8001. And then we're going to click the button to create a journal entry for the paycheck that we have in front of us. Or, like I said, you can use this screen to create basically a paycheck and then post the net of it to a payroll payable, and then go print a check out of accounts payable if you like. The thing that CHS is not doing is calculating your taxes, so you will need to know what your taxes will be for these entries. As you can see, when this opened, it opened with 5, these are called 5 records, 5 lines, and you can add more lines as you go. That's because we're having a line for regular pay, less federal withholding, less Social Security, less Medicare, and maybe one other line. Actually, there's 4 for those 4 things, and then you can add lines as you need it. So the first thing I'm going to do, and we'll talk about setting up these categories, is I'm going to post some gross pay for this person, and it went out and fetched some default accounting numbers, etc., that are set up for this employee, which we'll go over in future tutorials. And I'm going to say that 20 hours, his wage per hour dropped in. 20 hours I'm putting in because I'm going to say 20 hours were to a certain job, and that job we'll say is, now I'd like you to watch what happens after I select the job. We're going to do job test 2, and you'll notice that these other fields opened up. I have what is called a 15% billing rate attached to Francis Jones, so that it detects and drops that in. If I select a job here, it's assuming that I'm going to do some job costing. I'm going to change this description because I can change it to whatever I like to show up on my job cost reports. So I'm just going to put superintendent here. And then you'll notice that some other general ledger accounting numbers dropped in. This one is for direct construction cost, and notice how this $505 that was calculated here for the wage has now been written up to $580.75 for job cost amount to post because of the 15% that's been added to it. I could change this right here if I don't want to use the default for the employee to a different percent if I like. If you hover over things, you'll see what these are. Since we're going to take this amount and post it to the 1430 work in progress account, you also need a GL account for your chart of from your chart of accounts, and we'll go over how to set that up in the next tutorials, for crediting that account, and it needs to be something that is in the same section as where you're going to be posting the wages and the payroll taxes. So this will be what is called a contra account, and you'll notice that it's called wages/burden applied to job costs. Some of this will need to be discussed with your accountant. I will be going over this screen step by step in more detail in the future tutorials, but let's do another line for regular pay, and let's go ahead and allocate 20 more hours to a different job if we like, and let's use job test 3, and we'll go ahead and just leave this stuff alone. See how easily it dropped in for us. If there had been a markup percent from the budget for this particular cost code, the cost code that is used 9010, that would have dropped here, and this would be an even higher amount that would be used for cost plus draw requests, etc. So we've got those 2 lines, and if you'll notice down here, the total is just showing the total of the gross pay, so that when you get done, that total down there should be what the net pay is. So let's do some federal withholding. Take whatever the federal withholding amount is. Let's just decide, and you need to put it as a minus amount. Let's decide that's $225. And everything's been dropped in, the GL accounts, etc., for you, so you don't have to do anything else except select the category, put in the amount. So let's do the Social Security. I happen to know that the Social Security at 6.2% will be $62.62, but if you do happen to be trying to calculate payroll yourself, you could put 0.062, and that 1010, which was the gross pay, and you can see that it will show you the $62.62 total there. You could use this for a little calculation, because this total will be quantity or hours times a rate. Now I need to put one more because I used up one of my lines by allocating to job costs, and let's take the Medicare. And I already know that the Medicare is going to be $14.65 because I'm actually looking at a paycheck. So I'll just type it in. I just wanted to show you how you could put the 0.0145 in here and do your math on screen. Now notice with both the Social Security and Medicare, it's provided a general ledger that you set up for this category, a general ledger account for payroll taxes payable, and then this is it's also trying to match it for the employer expense. And so when this is all posted, CHS is going to take care of posting all of these this information into one big journal entry for you. Now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to pay this person for some mileage that is going to be allocated to the job test 3, and so we'll put mileage, which is something that we set up as a category, and it's fetching the GL numbers that's set up to go with that. Looks like I have a lot of high usage going on here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this to test 3, the job test 3. And notice that it's gone ahead and filled in some numbers over here to take it to job cost and to take it out of 8420. And the job cost, I think I'll write it up just because by 10%. Well, it helps if I put an amount in, right, for the reimbursement. So you can see it's written up by 10% over here. So 110 will go to job cost, and $100 will be added to the paycheck for a mileage reimbursement. So now we've come down, we're looking at what our total net check is, which will be everything in this column, and that matches our paycheck, so we're cool with that. And in this case, we've already had the paycheck done, so we're going to select the payroll checking here, and it's going to use the date that we used when we came in, and when I click submit, it will create the whole entire journal entry handling every bit of this. And like I said, you can look at the printout that's attached, and I'm going to submit this journal entry. After it's submitted, I can click a button to look at that entire journal entry. You can see that to cash, minus 807.73 for the net paycheck. To construction costs, work in progress, we have the written up amounts to the 2 jobs here and to the cost code, and the amount of the mileage, that all of that has gone to job cost with a job code and a cost code. Then you can see the Social Security withheld went to a payroll tax payable. The amount that the employer owes went to a payroll tax payable for Social Security employer. Same with Medicare. You can see the credits going there. In other words, the liabilities are occurring. And the amount withheld for federal withholding. And now here is the actual amount of the paycheck that just went to our generic H job, because we sent the amount to the actual jobs in the work in progress account for job costing. And here's the payroll taxes expense, the expense side of it. And now here is the contra account 4199, which we'll talk about later, for where that 580.80, the 2 amounts that were taken out and sent to job cost here. So they're taken and they show up on your income statement as wages burden applied to job costs. Like I said, you'll need to discuss this with your accountant, whether this will work for you. And here is the 110 that's been applied to job test 3 and showed up in job costs right here. And then the 100 that was actually paid to the employee for mileage reimbursement. So that does cause a little $10 credit, but once you close your job out, it'll come back into cost of sales. So a total journal entry should total to 0, if it has been posted correctly, and so that's the journal entry for it. What we also have here is a report that I call the employee stub report. If for some reason you are posting this and you're going to post that bottom line to a payables account, you can print this report after it's posted, which is a good one to hand to the employee to show them how their net paycheck was calculated. And let's run over here real quick and let's look at a list. And this is the very first web journal entry I did, so there's only one in our list. But you can see that there's also an employee year report, and it's the same because we've only had one check, but that would start getting bigger and bigger, so you could use that as some information to give to your employee. Before we leave this discussion, let's run over to our job costs, and you'll see more of all of this in future videos, but I wanted to show you how quickly we made that journal entry. And I'm just going to do a report of the actual job cost for test 2, which is one of the jobs that we did. And you're going to see we haven't posted any other actual job costs to this job, but here's the first one under the cost code 9010 superintendents, showing the 580 that we applied to that job. The other test 3 job has been one we've been playing with, but you'll see the mileage reimbursement in there and a whole bunch of other actual costs that we've been posting to this job. But let's get down to this section here, the superintendent's area, and we went ahead and applied the 110 mileage reimbursement to that superintendent's too. And you'll see that this stuff at the written up amount is showing right here, showing up on your job cost reports. Now, the future tutorials will start with a step-by-step setting up for this and how you do this, but I wanted to show you the end result of what this is producing and how you can post your payroll checks here. Thanks for watching.